Hail to thee, my kindred. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and night, whenever and wherever you are. It is a day, and that day is Saturday. Yes. I don't know why I felt a little excited. I guess it's because I got some sleep. That's why I like the weekend. It's because I actually get to rest. Take a long nap, and by a long nap I mean sleep until 12 p.m. in the afternoon. It's wonderful. It's pleasant to wake up and then be like, hey, I can just keep sleeping. I can just keep going. No issues, no problems, no stress. I mean, I still wake up like 3 different times, but never mind that, I'll take what I can get. I'm happy with my I'm just happy that I get to sleep. How have you all been? I hope you all been quite alright. It's real sunny today. Warm as much as it was yesterday. And there's not really much to say this time around. I'll be quite frank. I haven't done all that much. Because like I said, I woke up a lot later than usual, so I've only really sat down and watched a couple VODs here on YouTube. Not here, as in here, but like, on YouTube over there. Just been watching random stuff, passing the time. Guess I was watching a bit of a history of Britain type of episodic. I don't know. It's not really it's like this guy that's like on a podcast and he's talking about the history of like how Britain was formed, and I found that interesting. If only for a bit. I haven't gotten through that much of that video yet. There's like 9 episodes of that, and I have a feeling it's gonna take them a long time to get anywhere near the actual formation of Britain. But it'll be interesting, It might be something I put on in the background to just put there as background noise as I do something or another. I guess I can finally get working on that new scene I said I was gonna be working on. Yeah, actually that'd be kind of smart. Because sitting down and just working in the quiet, not my thing. I don't like that. Did play some Chivalry 2 with a buddy of mine. Just for an hour and a half. He wanted to get a new weapon on one of the classes he almost never uses, or I think hasn't really ever used, so we went and tried to level up that class. For me, I had already leveled it up to get a specific weapon, so I didn't need to worry about that. He, on the other hand, had to struggle for a good while. Now, about the game we're playing, I don't know much about it. It's literally just called Hello Girl. I believe we follow a character who's one of those people that used to work on, I don't know if you guys know about this, but like old cell phones, like not cell phones, telephones, the way they used to work was that you'd have certain places that were mainly worked by women who like made sure you would connect to the right person that you're trying to call to. So when you pick up the phone, you'd call the center, and then the center would direct your phone call to wherever it was that you desired to, call. And I believe our character in Hello Girl is one of those people, but like her job is now kind of becoming obsolete. I think that's all I remember from reading the synopsis of the game. I don't really know what else you do. I don't think even that, even her job, I don't think that's like part of the gameplay or anything. I'm pretty sure that's just like part of the background of the story. Is that she works in one of these places. So there is that. And the game is short. It says that it's like roughly 3 hours, maybe around that point. But knowing me, you already know that's gonna be that this is gonna be like a 5 hour, 6 hour game. This is gonna be 2 streams, maybe 3 worth of game. I have my tea next to me, like always. I got my water. Made sure I drank a lot this morning. Or I guess not morning, really. This afternoon. This early afternoon. Drank a fuck ton of water. Drank my coffee, drank my water, got another glass. I think I also drank that, and then I have my 3rd glass today, along with my tea. So I should be well hydrated so far. Why don't we just get right down to it? Here we go. Bam. Oh, gotta put the volume. Always forget the volume has to be turned on. Here we are. The sound of grass is the only thing I hear. Can I actually put this up on my thing without much issue? Let me see. Well, that's kind of big on my screen. Oh, I have to use my mouse. Text speed, display. Okay, I could downsize it a bit. That way I can read chat. Does that affect OBS? A little, but I can just size it up. There we go. No problem. Gotta make sure it looks well and fine. Yes, it does. Unseen text, translations, accessibility, reduce motion, music volume, sound volume, ambient, auto forward time. Okay. Return. And here we go. Two days before. Before what? I wonder. This dream. I've only ever known this dream. The thing I can think about is this dream. It doesn't seem correct to call it a dream. If this dream is echoing, torturous, agonizing, there might be another word for it. Do dreams mangle you? Do dreams rip away at your skin? No, they don't. Do dreams put you in the hospital? Certainly not. This is no dream. This is a curse. I've lost touch with many things over the decades. The image I see in the mirror, for one, every time I pass one, I ask, what am I seeing? It is not human. And I definitely don't see something that anyone could ever truly love. Maybe I shouldn't have even been given eyes. Because when I see my reflection, I see A role model, a star, a personality, a celebrity, and above all else, an idol. On the radio, on the television. Talk of the nation, me. It should have been me. It should have been me. There was no error. There were no errors. Every audition, every rehearsal, every scene, every interview, every composition, every note, every performance, every song, every album. Complete, perfect, correct, flawless. And yet, I'm here. Bathtub full of vomit and blood. Drowning in my own special brand of hell. This isn't what an idol does. We're not sure if I'd be received well. You just don't have the right look. Maybe further down the line, there will be a night. They were all right. I'll only ever be this dot, and not even one on any radar. A speck of the dust in the corner, unnoticed. Nobody. Shambling around the dark. Ha 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 ha. Maybe I've truly lost it. Maybe I only imagined them. The suits that showed up to my door last night. The ones who told me they were very interested in having my help. That my dream is one we both share. We can help you unlock your potential. We can help you. We can unlock what has been inside of you, what has been hidden this whole time. You can become something different, much greater. Psh. If it ends up with me in concrete shoes, good. Anything but this. But if the business card they gave me, say they're with the feds, is real, then maybe, just maybe, 23 days after. It was all I ever wanted. Somehow, they just knew. They knew exactly how I should be living my life. Every goal, every dream, down to the finest detail. My guardian angels, truly. It's taking some sacrifices, of course. Nothing's free. Long and painful, invasive and humiliating, sometimes even cruel and meaningless. Every day is a new procedure. I'm prodded with instruments, injected with things, and made to be a little plaything for them. I'm always hungry but forbidden from eating. Always thirsty, but forbidden from drinking. Always tired, but forbidden from sleeping. I'm forbidden from talking to anyone but the caretakers. It's not allowed. It's all for the best, they say. This wouldn't be possible otherwise. The suffering, the pain, the humiliation, the dignity. I will put it aside. To me, all of it, the smallest price to pay. It was all necessary to get me here. I don't care that I'm being used. For deadbeats like me, it's the only way. Now, how did I ever think I could make it on my own? But I've made up my mind. This is where I belong. In this place, I will finally become something bigger than myself. Even I can shine bright. Okay, what is this about? I don't understand. When the curtain finally opens before me, the crowd erupts with their pure, uncontainable love. When they see me at that stage, their screams all as one. A heavenly chorus. A love beam aimed directly towards my heart. That's when I'll know that it will all have been worth it. Last night, they told me that the time has finally come. Just a little more. Just a little more. That the wait is almost over. Not that I needed a scientist to tell me that. I was born to be here after all. Tomorrow, they're going to sculpt me into the finest idol that has ever walked this earth. Tomorrow, I will finally become a star. 24 days after. I'm assuming things did not go right. Hello, girl. By these people. $99. Let me make sure everything's good on OBS. Okay. $99 to $32. Okay. Connected. 401. 401 to 406. Connected. 2,201. 2,201 to 2,053. Connected. 19 to 601. 600. Where was that again? I glance over my cabinet, exchanging views with the trunk map. And that's on the northwest shores. Long distance. Distant lovers, perhaps? It's uncommon. Most of the 600 lines aren't in use these days. I can only imagine there's some poor girl out there making local connections. Must be lonely out there. But of course, someone has to do it. It's important work. Ah. I'm daydreaming again. I look for the patch above my head, the one with the label 600, or 6XS. I scoot out of the rolling chair, making my way to the console for the 600s with swift steps. Time is always of the essence. I reach for the loose cable hanging from the patch, plugging into 601. The light stops flashing, now glowing solidly. Connected. I roll back in one of the chairs, the full picture coming into view. And there's our little work desk. Watching over the array of switchboards. Numerous lights on the 8 tables. Cabinets. Tables, what am I talking about? All solids. Waiting for another flashing light. But nothing else comes up. Fingers tapping impatiently on my thigh. They modulate in a pattern, eager for something to do. What else? What else? The air leaks into my chest and I taste it. My shoulders slink down in an light exhale. I feel the weight of my body in the chair. I become aware of the state of my aching legs, and I leave the discomfort of the chair. It slides away a little out of control, but of course I catch it skillfully with my foot. I lean forward, towards my shoes in a stretch. Ah. I circle around the room, that stiffness leaving entirely. It's a great day to serve. Affirmations, affirmations. I'm the voice with the smile. That's right. After finishing my boast, I feel listless again. There's still nothing on the monitor, but I won't let emptiness win. I walk over coyly, like hiding something behind my back. I reach for the plug on my headset, rubbing the connector. The logo of the Alkaline Corporation rolls between my fingers in deliberation. I reach out like I have so many times before. The contact meets the label for Monet. The crackle in my headphones lets me know that it's been done. I lift the headset over my ears. Pier 3 connected. Almost like she doesn't want to go out anymore. Well, that's unfortunate. The poor girl. How has she been doing in school? Her teachers are worried about her. I got a call the other day from the school. Oh no. She's not participating in class, hasn't been doing her homework. All these days I've been so busy I didn't even notice. I get the feeling she's afraid of telling me how she's doing. And she still asks where mom is, if she's okay, when she's coming back. It breaks my heart. I just don't know what I can do for her. Don't know where I can start. Must be tough on her. But hey, I know she'll pull through. She's always been a fighter. It's always hard trying to find a way to cheer up the little ones. You know, the other day Bobby fell off his bike and really scraped the heck out of his knee. He cried and cried and cried. They didn't want to go outside anymore. I told him, how about we go and catch a pencil breaks game? What do you think? Pencil beaks. Haha, lovely of you. Yeah, it sure put a smile on his face. And you know how much he loves a good ball game, always getting so into it. Sharing and shouting and jumping up and down. Wonderful day, almost like he forgot about his knee. He did seem a bit disappointed they didn't seem to have his favorite pitcher and half the team was missing. Probably because of what's going on. Oh, right. I'm not sure Jamie is into baseball, but maybe she'll like it. Should give it a try. Always. Well, anyways, you ever want us to come over, you just let us know. I'm sure Bobby and Jamie would love to play like they always do. Thanks, Mason. Take care, okay? We always do. Bye-bye now. See ya. Disconnected. Pier 1 disconnected. I'm not supposed to plug in, not unless there's some sort of problem. But after dipping my toes in a little, there seems to be little consequence. I guess it's not really my place to know. I connect. That's my job. You can't blame me for being curious, okay? 2 months have already passed since I took on this job. It was hard at first, remembering all the steps, the protocols and procedures, but it's actually surprisingly simple. Each call is an inbound from the trunk, and it's my job to route each one to its destination. All I have to do is lift the incoming line from the shelf and plug it into the socket with the light. Of course, I'm just one of many operators. There's a lot of us. I'm Anna. Anna Lapine, or Lapine. Anna Lapine. I'm the voice with the smile. Since the customers can't see us, we have to put the smile on our voices. Always ready, always happy to help. That's the service you'll come to expect at Alkaline Corporation. Alkaline Corporation is kind of difficult to say. Just in one go. That's how it was for a long time. But now, I'm not so sure. A lot of calls are auto routes these days. It was a respectable profession back then. Routes had to be done by hand. Every operator would pick up and ask, "Number, please." We didn't just connect calls. We would do all kinds of things relating to customer service, scheduling appointments, connecting group calls, and even leaving messages. Sometimes the odd request came in to track down a person based on a very vague description. You'd have to call around to different places to find someone's current location. This job used to be complicated, or so my sister told me. Of course, that's all different now. Most people prefer to dial numbers for themselves. Must have been nice back then, getting to speak to people from all over the country. And maybe even all over the world. The world feels a lot smaller now. At 6 p.m., the calls inexplicably stop, which marks the end of my day. As the days last right, I make my way around each cabinet to make sure that everything is in its right place. After work, I normally get out of my uniform, hang it up, and slip into something more comfortable. But today I have an errand to run. Every few days I go out to get the mail. It doesn't deliver out here, so I have to go to the post office in town. I don't know how long it's been this way, but there's a mailbox buried somewhere out there in the grasses. At any rate, it only makes sense that we're putting more of our resources into the great effort instead of useless things like convenience of mail delivery. The great effort. Huh. That's capitalized, so there's some importance there. For what, though? I wonder. Because that's a little ominous, you know? The great effort. Hopefully it's not in bad, but I have a feeling it might be something bad, considering, when we were plugged into whoever's phone call, they were talking about what's currently happening. Oh well, not my problem. I waste no time moving on to the task. The days are getting shorter after all. The forecast said it would be colder, and I can only agree. The wind chill has already picked up a bit. The air burns my cheeks and hands. The grasses sway gently in the wind. The birds have already left for the year. I've started to miss their call. It's always been quite quiet out here. It's the one thing I can trust to never change. On days like this, when the cold hits you like a wall, I remember that I, too, am just a vulnerable animal. The creature braves the world outside its warm burrow. I always park the bike on the side of the house. My sister was more careful about these things, insisting that it's too precious to leave outside. I respected her wishes for a little while, but I am what she isn't, practical. I dig into my pockets for the key, only to realize it was already sitting in the lock. I turn the key back and forth, make sure there's still a charge. With my foot on the lever and my hand on the throttle, I find the right resistance and give it a good kick. The engine rips through the silence as it cold starts. I greet it warmly with some revs, leaving it to idle while I get my helmet on. I love this sound. It's different from the phone lines, but meditative in the same way. I get on the seat and grab the handlebars. Okay. It hums gently in my arms, responding to my commands. It really is a nice piece of junk. I give the throttle, and we roll gently over the dirt path. I don't look back. The wind feels good on my skin. The planes whip past as my motorcycle carries me. The only thing slowing me down are two photo potholes. I don't know why I said photos. Potholes and grasses encroaching on the path. I feel the stress of the day slide off like butter. There's a lot of things that I don't like about fall, but the first cool air after a long summer is novel in a way I can appreciate. The scenery has slowly been giving way to darker hues. It's summer's final dying breath. A signal that the best part of the year is coming to a close. The feeling of morning doesn't catch up with me as I speed away. I made the decision to enjoy it instead. It's about a 20-minute ride to get to town. I push a bit extra on the throttle in an attempt to escape the cold. Things are far apart out here. It almost feels by design. Here, the world moves slow. It's the kind of place where you know everyone, and anyone new from the city would be faced with scrutiny. I would know. I was one of them. My sister probably carried most of that burden for me, as I've become quite well liked by the locals. I can't say I completely dislike it, but I don't let it show too much. It's important to keep your distance. At that moment, I swerved to miss a pothole, one of those scary ones that would definitely send you flying if you were on a motorcycle. I stopped my bike and looked behind me. That could have been bad. The speed had been creeping up as soon as what? The speed had been creeping up as I got deeper in my headspace. I take a deep breath. I remember that I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. I decide to take it easy for the rest of the ride. Yeah, if you were to fall and get an accident in the middle of nowhere, nobody's gonna find you for like hours. I make sure to ride out and check the mailbox every couple of days. I don't want to miss anything important. Not that I really get all that much mail. I guess it's just an excuse to ride out to town. I say town, but maybe it's more like a village. A place with a handful of stores and ran by clerks who dream of elsewhere, and old, tired people who are waiting for time to bite them. In any case, it's nice to get out of the house. I pull up to the inordinately large post office. Let me repeat that. Inordinately. Yeah, it is inordinately. Okay. It stood nearly empty for a long time, but it's had a recent surge of activity due to the establishment for the new base. Military, I imagine? There are no customers inside today, only the creak of the fan moving around its socket. I waste no time loitering, immediately heading towards the counter. But there seems to be nobody around. I lean over the counter, looking into the staff area, but I see nobody in there. I use my ears too, but there's no sound of movement. And only the creaky fan in the ceiling. The little service bell awaits for me to ring it. I tap my foot impatiently. Surely I wouldn't have to resort to it. And I take a few paces around the room to kill time. And there's several stacks of mail spewing out of its home behind the counter. Looks like they haven't gotten around to sorting the mail yet. I look at some postcards being displayed, displaying the beautiful sights of our country. The cliffs remind me of home. What little I can remember of it, at least. I look at the clock on the wall. It's 7:30. You'd think that they'd be closing up their shift by now. I turn my head to look towards the counter with a shifty expression. Whoever is working here is taking their time. Deciding that I've done enough window shopping, I take firm steps up to it. I look at the bell. After some final internal deliberation, I finally decide to give it a press. A thud emanates from the countertop. There's a sound of shuffling down under. Don't tell me they were taking a long... Somebody was taking a nap. Come on. A nicely dressed green-haired girl emerges from under the desk. She starts mumbling. Doze off again. That's no good. The girl turns away from me and rubs her eyes. She seems to not notice my presence. Where was I? She yawns loudly, stretching out her arms out. She finishes her stretch and turns around to the counter. What? You rang, right? Yes, I did. What's up? Her eyes are reddish, with a strange yet friendly look on her face. Maillard, was it? Maillard, you said it right. I open up my bag and pull out an envelope, placing it neatly on the counter, pushing it toward her with my index finger. Here. She looks down at the letter for a second and then back to me. Oh, thanks. She tosses the letter into an overflowing mail bag behind her, causing a mild avalanche of envelopes. The mail clerk lazily goes after them. She gets on the floor, placing each envelope back in the sack with more caution this time. I suddenly feel guilty. Maillard returns to the counter, staring off again. Oh, and my mail. Maillard snaps back to attention. Gotcha. 1 second. She turns around and starts to scan up and down the bins on the wall behind her. The address was something like Eagle? Hawk? Pigeon Way. Right. Maillard runs her fingers along the label bins, mumbling to herself. She bumps into a large cart overflowing with letters and packages, causing some to fall out. Those military guys. The clerk slowly scoots the cart away from the rest of the bins and continues looking up and down them. Pigeon Way. I swear it was right. Ah! She pulls out a couple of letters, flicks through them, and sets them on the counter in front of me. There you go. Thanks. Maylard nods and gets on the floor to put the letters back into the cart. I flip through the letters. Milton's Department, Catalog, Junk Fire, The Daily Gamut, yesterday's issue. Huh. That's strange. Miss? The clerk looks up from the overflown cart. Was this everything in there? Maylard glances at the bin. Everything. Can you check again? She looks away, mumbling something under her breath. Maylard takes a look inside the bin, making a point to really stick her face into it. She takes out a few letters and flips through them again. None of the rest in here are for you, miss. That can't be right. Are you sure? Nothing from Lapine? Sorry. That's all of it, she says in such a defeated tone. Thanks again, miss. I turn around and start towards the door. Hey, wait a sec. Maylard nearly slips on, making her way around the counter. She comes up to me with an envelope in her hand. This one was on the ground. Without even looking at the envelope, I tear the flap open and shake the letter out from inside. I unfold it and read the top. Alkaline Corporation. Dear Miss Clara Lapine, We are writing to inform you that your location is scheduled for a mandatory service upgrade set for September 5. The hardware to be installed is a AW1054 model multiplexer as well as a TW44 model teletypewriter. A service representative will be on the site to assist you with the upgrade progress. Please keep a good lookout. We thank you for your service. Hold that confidence. Your local branch office at Alkaline. My arm falls to the side with the letter in hand. Millard looks happy to have done her job, I think. I smile at her regardless. Thanks, miss. She keeps looking at me with that expression. I'm not really sure if it is one of accomplishment anymore. I decide to take my leave. The night is cool, and the breeze clings to my clothes. I sigh, my breath visible in the cool air. I lean against the wall of the post office. Lights from inside illuminate the road, casting shadows. It's already gotten dark in the time I spend in the post office. I rest my head against the vending machine. It hums softly, like a kitty. Good girl. Okay. I look at the letter in my hand. Scheduled for September 5th. That's only a couple days away. Multiplexer. Teletypewriter. I'm not really sure what those could be. Technology's really moving quickly these days. It will probably be someone from the city, that service representative. I wonder what they're like. I twist the accelerator on my bike and start on my way back home. Crickets, tall grass swaying gently outside of the telephone exchange. A strange place to call home. The wooden door creaks open and I step in, remembering to lock it behind me. The dust and shadows of the near empty switchboard room greets me. I nearly trip while removing my shoes and jacket. Maybe we should have some light. The ceiling light hums a familiar tone. It's taken some time for me to adjust to the quiet. It's hard to not be overly aware of your own actions when there's no one else around. I try to think about things I should be happy about. Today was the first time the trip to the post office felt familiar to me. Comforting even. The first time I drove there, I was so nervous about every little thing. Driving the bike, not getting lost, the what to say to the mail clerk. But now it's just another part of my week. Going through these motions. Routines, motions, a meal, a bath. Sleepy. Same. My yawns echo through the building's dark halls. I hang up my uniform and put on my nightgown. I collapse onto the bed face first, not feeling any urgency to get comfortable. It isn't really clear to me what it is I'm feeling at the moment. I'm a girl who enjoys consistency, I guess. If there was a word for the feeling, it'd probably be helpless. Before I start to really think about it, I close my eyes. That night, I was able to remember my dream. I remember my sister and I sitting on our old front porch. I was staring at the grass while Mom yelled at us. She was really upset that we had gotten some blouses dirty and that we had gotten some new blouses dirty and was really telling us off for not being more careful. I felt bad that she was going to have to spend so much time giving our clothes an extra scrubbing when she was already so busy every day. You know how many months I have saved up for these? Sometimes it feels like neither of you care how much I do for you. Somehow I knew that this happened because I chased Clara through a mire, and before we could realize how deep in the mud the mud went, it was too late. Taking a little tea break. My throat's already getting dry. $45. 425. 425 to 339. Connected. I give a great big yawn, as well as a good stretch of my arms. Early mornings usually don't have very many calls. 29. 29 to 67. Connected. Huh. I haven't seen 29 come up in a while. With how slow the morning is going, maybe a little curiosity won't hurt. I plug into the monitor. Let's just casually spy on somebody's conversation. Why not? What can go wrong? Pier 3 connected. What kind, you ask? Oh, I'm not picky at all. Whichever you think is the most pleasing. Okay then, so a card. Words thinking of you. Get well soon, Thomas. Also, a bouquet of flowers. No preference. Yes, thank you. If you don't mind, can I ask what happened? Well, he's not doing so great. We got a letter saying he's too injured to fight now. So there is a war going on. A little worrying, but okay. Wouldn't tell us what happened, but when my wife saw him, he was in a full body cast. Couldn't move at all. Jeez. Oh no. My condolences. I'm certainly wishing for a speedy recovery. Thanks. I'll be sure to pass it on. 1 disconnected. 2 disconnected. Two numbers longing to reach one another. The magic of long-distance communications happening before my eyes. The tiny flashing light above the digits tell me that something needs to be said somewhere and to someone else. And I can only imagine what it was like before all of this. In the words of loved ones at the whim of a person who may or may not find their way to them. A letter lifted out of a bag by a gust of wind would mean words lost forever. I get a little teary-eyed thinking about it. Without thinking, I connect another call. It's become mindless. My hands guide themselves. A to B. Wait for the lights to turn off. Unplug. Rinse and repeat. A to B. Repeat. A to B. Again. A to B. Fogginess. A to B. B to A. 1 to 2. Like living in a cloud, only it's one of those small, solitary clouds you sometimes see in the night sky. 2 to 3. My hands reach out, fingers waving about, creating a barely visible shapes in air and moisture. Green and red lights blink in patterns across the sky, creating a grid. I rumbling at my feet. Then, a white light from out in the distance in front of me. The light grows brighter, coming towards me. A train pierces through the foggy veil. The deafening sound of its engines turn to a screech as the train comes to a halt. A tall, stately man in a vest and some sort of cape steps off the train, his boots sending a puff of dirt. His movements seem guided, like they've been rehearsed hundreds of times before, in an almost ceremonial manner. He turns my way and begins a strut towards me. I then notice the black and gold cane he's carrying, stabbing the dirt with each stride. He stops in front of me, and I almost feel afraid to look at his face. There's an immense presence to him, an impenetrable aura. I finally muster up the courage to look at him in the face. I notice that his gaze isn't focused on me, but more rather something behind me. I suddenly feel very small in his presence. He sets his eyes on me. Reality makes itself known in an unpleasant jolt, the feeling in my limbs returning to me. A trail of drool runs down my arms as I lift my head from the switchboard. Girl, you cannot be falling asleep in this kind of job. I fell asleep on a job again. What? I see my pencil on the floor next to me, the thing that must have woken me up. The second thing I notice, there's so many unconnected calls. My stomach drops, thinking about what could have happened if I missed too many of these. I shake the sleepy away in my head and stretch my arms a bit. 89 to 121. Connected. Ration day. Every Wednesday, everyone in town lines up to take home government-supplied food and supplies. Stuff like rice, oats, cooking oil, and other essentials. It's still a pretty new program, so I'm not completely used to it. Sometimes it's just a matter of substituting one thing for another, though sometimes things don't come in and I just have to do with a plain meal. When it's getting close to the next ration day, it might just be rice and beans for a couple of days. Me and my sister used to go on trips around the various roadside farmers markets to get fresh produce. Since everyone seemed to know her, we'd even be gifted some seasonal fruit from time to time. I would always hide behind Clara back then. I was always scared of anyone who wasn't my sister. Now the markets are mostly empty. The farmers around have dwindled in number, and there's only a handful still around. So it's really been a big help that we have the rationing system now. Even if the food isn't as good, at least a little bit easier to get to, even if I have to wait in line. Come to think of it, all of the farmland is under the control of the defense force now. I wonder what they're doing with it. As I get close to the intersection where I turn off for the community building, I see 3 people standing there. They're in uniform, and they're holding guns. I don't recognize them, but I know they're military. Not sure what they're doing around here, though. I decide to slow down. My bike comes to a stop right next to the soldiers. Halt! I'm a little surprised. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that in real life before. My bike... Oh, let me take some tea. Sorry. My bike has already stopped, so I'm not sure what they want me to do. 2 girls stand tactically to block my bike from both sides. Their hands are on their guns. The third stands a bit further behind them, though with a rifle still around her shoulder. I raise my hands up to show that I'm not holding anything. What's your business here? I'm just getting some rations. Upon hearing me speak, the 2 near-identical soldiers look at each other in surprise. I lift up my goggles to see I lift up my goggles so that they can see my face. They study me up and down with their eyes. The one in the back has a minimal presence and seems to prefer to stay out of it. Huh. Another civilian. They seem to let down their guard a bit. One of them even slings their rifle back over their shoulders. What did they think was out here? We're in like the middle of nowhere. I don't know what's so surprising, but I'm glad I don't have to worry about getting shot. What are you doing here, little miss? Not a good idea to be out here alone. How young do they think I am? I'm pretty sure they're not much older than me. Are you guys lost? Shouldn't you be out at the front lines? Lost? The twin-tailed soldier stifles a laugh. Her cheeks puffed out. Of course we're not lost. We're doing important work here. Classified work. Okay. Keeping the peace. Making sure little girls like you don't get hurt. Well, I'm doing fine. Yeah, you might be doing fine for now. But you never know when the enemy might strike. So you ought to watch your back. I wonder what they've been told. I understand. Is it okay to... You can't say we're the ones who are lost. Don't you know? This is a military road. You're the ones who's lost. Since when? And, you know, we've been on the front lines too. Eastern Shore, 23rd Company. Really? Yeah, you couldn't imagine the things we've seen. They're still going. I don't think they're going to listen to me. They start to argue with each other about who saw the most gruesome things. I lost track of the conversation. I get the feeling that they're not supposed to be here. I take a look at the third soldier. She keeps a stern look at me for what feels like an eternity, even though only a second or two passed in reality. Now eventually she looks down at the ground. I guess she has nothing to say. I think about saying something to her, but I feel I've meddled with their little operation enough. Hey, are you listening? Am I free to go? Huh? Oh, yeah. Sure, go ahead. I guess my worries were misplaced. I didn't have to worry about these girls. They're just a couple of kids. I put my goggles back on and look forward. I push down on the pedal, and my bike rolls off with me. Why do I get the feeling that they're not actual military people, but they do have guns, so they might be just like, I don't know, some local defense force or something? Who knows? Who frickin' knows? So we're really at war. I hope that them being here doesn't mean that the front lines have been pushed to wherever we are. That'd be kinda worrisome. With the day's rations in hand, I shuffle back into my home base. The usual nightly doings, though much sleepier because of the hassle I was given today getting there. I think about the things I used to cook with my sister. The fantasy, all sorts of delicious things lulled me to sleep. I'm blinded. My eyelids are being held open, a ray of light flicking directly into it, rapidly. The lights feel more intense with each flicker. It starts to hurt more and more. Then my eyes are allowed to close. There's a warmth in my eyes that I've never felt before. I try to reach out and touch them, but my arms don't cooperate. Mumbling from an invisible congregation. Although I can't understand them, I feel I'm being gossiped about. It's always like this. It feels... It's always like this, it feels. Okay. One of the figures makes themselves invisible. A short girl with long, unkempt hair. Something about her feels familiar. Looks like the girl we just, saw hiding in the back. I tried to piece together memories in my head, but they all frizzle away as soon as they're known. She tilts her head, curiously. I focus on the way her hair covers her face as she does this. I try to speak to her, but my mouth doesn't cooperate either. She holds her hand out with her palm facing up. This gesture feels comforting. I start to feel a little sad that I can't take her hand. She steps back, sudden hesitation, turning her head left and right, panicked. I start to understand her concern. I'm nothing anymore. What? What is she yapping about? Why is she saying I'm nothing anymore? That's a little concerning. Something is wrong this morning. It's 5 minutes past opening time. There's always a rush of calls coming in right about now. A lot of very important phone calls. But no lights have come in on today. I sit patiently, waiting for the first call to come in. Maybe the phone lines have been cut. After some time, I start feeling anxious and I patch myself in on one of the lines, but it's dead quiet. I try several. Not even interference can be heard. I even try to speak to the telephones, but there's no answer. I look outside, listening for sirens like I had been told to do. I even get over my fear of the radio and turn it to the emergency frequency. But there was nothing. I start pacing around impatiently. What's going on? Then I recall the note from the other day. Maintenance day. Does that mean that everything should have been disconnected? Who is taking my calls right now? Right then, I hear a knock on the door. In my panic, I hadn't even heard the guest drive up. Is that the company representative? Ah, I'm not even wearing my uniform. 1 minute. I hastily slip out of my nightgown and grab the uniform off the rack. I look at myself in the mirror one last time, making sure that my hair's parted how I like it. I undo the locks on the door and open it wide. I'm here for the maintenance job. The person standing by the entrance is tall and dressed in standard issues worker's overall. I realize that I've been staring them down, so I quickly blurt out a greeting. Hi! They give me a polite nod, and I hastily return it with a full-blown bow. Can you take me to the foreman of this office? Foreman? I see. We stand there for a while, blinking at each other. May I come in? Yes, of course. I move out of the way, hiding my body behind the open door. The tall person steps inside, making sure to take their muddy boots off by the entrance. Somehow, seeing them in socks makes them seem a little less intimidating. I close the door behind us, looking down shyly. The worker looks around, seeming somewhat confused. It's just you today? I keep looking down at my feet. It's just me in general. I see. They walk around the room, looking at some of my belongings. Very lived in. I'm not sure what what to say in response. They raise the clipboard that they've been holding and walk over to the row of switchboards. They stop at each one, and after giving it a good look, make a note on the clipboard. I'm not sure what they're writing down, but I'm sure it's important. During a visit like this, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, so I just continue tailing them as they inspect the place. And do I get a passing grade? I'm not here to grade you, miss. The person doesn't look up from the clipboard as they speak to me. I know. You're just here to grade the switchboards. After working their way through the switchboard terminals, they look up to the cables running up the wall from each unit. They join each other in a braid near the ceiling. Now I'm just here to make sure that the equipment is up to code. They follow the cables that span across the wall, terminating above a metal door in the corner of the room. They also make a note here, and if it's not, make the necessary upgrades. Well, is the equipment up to code? The worker rubs their shin. No, miss. Who let it get this bad? Suddenly I feel a little intimidated. I'm sorry. I didn't know. No, I don't think it's your fault. Protocols haven't been followed here. You've taken good care of the equipment, I can tell. But you could have phoned in to let us know earlier. There's quite the mess for me to clean up. Well, at least they're nice. They don't seem to be. I was getting a little suspicious that maybe they were not, you know, not, listen, considering there's a war going on, apparently, you never know who's a spy, okay? And now I'm getting suspicious of every character, which is not normal, but you never know. You can never be too safe. I look around the room. Everything's just the way Clara left it. But I never knew that there was some sort of problem with the way she had things set up. And this is how I've always known it. Is that something that needs to change? The representative looks around the several doors leading out the room. Is there an office here? An office? I think so. I take the key box on the wall and look for the right key to use. I grab the one with the tag on it that says office and lead the representative to one of the doors. And this building is too big just for me, so I keep these doors locked and pretend they're not here. The representative smiles at me, saying nothing. The door opens with my key, leading to a small room with a desk, a chair, and some filing cabinets. The representative steps past me and sits down at the desk, using their own key ring to open the filing cabinet. I guess they've done this before. What's in there? Maintenance records, mostly. Schematics, blueprints, and the like. They just go through the drawer, picking out a few folders and setting them on the desk. A puff of dust rises from the folders as the books are put down. The representative doesn't cough. They open up one of them, going through the documents within. I look over their shoulder, trying to parse through the information on the pages, but I can't understand it. This looks complicated. The representative looks up from the books. It's a circuit diagram, miss. It covers how the switchboards are wired, part of your basic training. Oh. I'm not very good at this stuff. The worker looks at me, puzzled. Were you not trained by Alkaline? I shake my head at them. Then, do you know when the fuses were last replaced? I don't know. The representative sighs, it probably dawning on them that there was more work to be done than initially thought. I don't know a whole lot about this. My sister taught me how to do this job. Your sister? The representative taps their pen on their desk, thinking. They bring out yet another folder of papers. This one looks like a directory of some sort. Each page has a table of names and hire dates, and who was their manager. They flip through the pages, all the way to the very last one. The worker puts their finger on one of the names at the bottom of the list. Miss Lapine. That's me. Clara Lapine? I shake my head. That's my sister. I'm Anna. I see. So you're not actually working for the company. I am. You do, but you're not on the ledger. But I work here every day. The representative sighs and puts the folder back in the drawer. I'm sure you're a good worker, Miss Lapine. I'll write that your sister was present. They stand up and leave the room with the schematic. I look down at the filing cabinet, feeling that I might have been doing something wrong this whole time. I follow the worker back to the main room. This is a little odd. Why are we not put down on the ledger? I mean, I know it's wartime, so there's probably a bunch of complications and whatnot, but it's a little worrying, to say the least. The representative looks around the room, and then at the schematics. Again, they seem to be in deep concentration. So you know my name now, but I don't know yours. The representative looks up from the diagram. Name's Courier. And they point at the name tag on their uniform. Oh, I thought that was just a title. They look down at the bag and exhale lightly, as if amused by my mistake. I smile at them, and they smile back mildly before returning to the blueprint. I scoot closer to Courier to look at the diagram they're holding. It seems to resemble the room we're in. A few of the rooms have labels on them, like office and break room. Curiously, one of the rooms in here don't match what they currently are, like my bedroom. I guess that was added later. Carrier taps their pen on the paper, then looks up at the wires on the ceiling. I'm going to need to take a look at the wiring in the basement. The basement? Carrier looks. Carrier then points at the metal door in the corner of the room, to which the cables lead. The trunk lines are down there. Basement? There's a basement? I've heard scary sounds coming from that steel door before. It's the one I stay the furthest away from. It's pretty ominous. Of course, I say nothing about this out loud. In the end, I just nod and follow the representative to the door. The door is locked, so I go for the key box again. After poking around, I can't seem to find the right key. I have no recollection of ever seeing one labeled the basement or anything like that. It doesn't come as that much of a surprise. Many of the hooks have keys that are missing. Sis never told me about the basement, so I don't know. I look at Courier, and they look back at me. And I think the small action told them everything because they sigh and lift the key ring off their belt. It's large, with many different sized keys on it. I'll have to get a new key made for this door. I stand a bit further back as the Courier unlocks the door. It opens with a horrible creak. I expected there to be a room on the other side, but it's just a staircase leading down. The sunlight from the windows casts a light down the stairs. It seems to continue to the right, but I can't see where it ends. Carrier immediately heads down, as if the creepy staircase doesn't bother them at all. I guess it's not that surprising. They probably do this stuff like this all the time. The wooden stairs creak loudly as the representative descends, and it makes me wince a little. When they reach the bottom, a switch clicks on the wall. Nothing seems to happen, much to their dismay. They lift a small pen flashlight from their belt and continue into the darkness. I'm not sure if they want me to follow them or not, but I don't want to leave my guest to wander around alone. I take a deep breath and put my right foot on the first step. I hold the handrail as I take it down slowly. Courier makes it look really easy. I guess this is why they have the job and not me. Not that my job isn't important, I'm sure it is. Their staircase seems to get longer as I descend. There's a dusty smell in the air. I don't think anyone has been down here for a long time. I'm not sure what they expect to find behind this door. Certainly not a whole other floor. I try not to think about the empty space growing in this building. They really got one gal working this whole place. Ah, man. And she lives here too. She just lives here. There's a reason why I keep these doors locked. I poke my head around the corner, and I see the representative already at work surveying the basement. They're dimly lit by the small flashlight held in their mouth. The room is tall and narrow, spanning an unknown depth into the darkness. The walls are lined with what appears to be many units of the same machine. Carrier has lifted the cover off one of them and is poking around inside. I had no idea all of this was down here. I approach the workers so that I don't have to be alone in the dark. They have a clipboard in one hand and a pen in the other, filling out some sort of checklist. They look at me, taking the flashlight out of their mouth so they can speak clearly. Hey, would you mind holding this flashlight for me? I nod, and I take the flashlight from their hand, making sure to point it to where they're working. It's made of metal, and is surprisingly heavy for its size. I didn't know they made flashlights this small. Probably something new. I wonder how it works. I feel a little safer with the light. A courier is poking around inside the machine with a screwdriver, opening little compartments up and looking inside. It's a miracle that this stuff worked. The Corp really has been slacking on maintenance. You mean Alkaline? Yeah. Ever since they got nationalized, HQ's been cutting corners. Oh. I don't know what any of those words mean. It means the country that governs your stuff now is not doing a good job. They're rife with cash, but they don't spend it on anything useful. Maybe when this war is over, they'll get their act together. Until then, here I am, fixing their mess. You seem to work hard, courier. I'm sure your work is appreciated. They gave me a warm smile before turning back to the machine. Have you been at Alkaline long? Courier looks back at me as I ask my question, but continues talking as they work. Ever since I got old enough. You must be really smart then. Courier laughs. Ha, maybe so. This is all I know how to do. Courier finishes their work on this machine, making sure to close the cover before moving on to the next one. I diligently followed them with the flashlight, careful not to get in their way. They pop another cover open with the screwdriver. Think it's made out of the same sort of bakeline. They shift it off and set it aside. It looks heavy. The inside, this machine looks very similar to the last one. What are these machines? They're part of the exchange. These are switches, panels, switches to be precise. This bank uses the newer model of straight panel switches. They're a lot more reliable than the old rotary one. Rotary? Yeah, the old ones were a nightmare to maintain. Lots of moving parts. Don't even get me started on the wiring. As you might have noticed, there's a lot of empty space down here. That's because the old banks were so big. We could fit a whole room in the space left behind by those things. I look behind me and scoot a little closer to the courier. Courier. But why are they here under my house? We just do the phone calls here. And they're used to route transmissions to other central offices. And they're what make the phone calls happen. They're part of it at least. The telephone poles outside are like the roads of the system, and the switches are like the intersections. Oh! But I thought I made the connections, like when I plugged the wires in upstairs. Yes, that's a part of it. Though maybe not for much longer. I wonder what they meant by that. So, the basement is like the brain of the phone system? You could say that. And there's a lot of brains though, not just in this place. And they're all connected together, forming a network of brains. Brain network. This building mostly serves for long-distance lines. And there's not a lot of local line connections to make, so most of the incoming transmissions are just passing through to elsewhere. Courier points to a logo on my uniform. See? That's the logo for the long-distance division. Whoa. I didn't know there was so much to do with... I didn't know there was so much to it. I thought telephones were just a wire. Courier chuckles. That would make my job a lot easier. They check some things off on their clipboard and move to the next panel. So, how long will it take you to fix them? It's not just a matter of fixing the panels, there's also some other stuff that needs attention. The panels, they're just the most obvious problem. It's a wonder they're still functional. They need to be totally replaced, and I haven't looked at the wiring yet. I would say about a week, tops. A week? I can't connect calls for a whole... I can't connect calls for a whole week. That's all I know to do. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't do that. What am I supposed to do for a week? Enjoy your vacation? Vacation? I've never been on vacation before. Does that mean I can go anywhere I want? Like, to the beach? I've never tried to be anywhere else before. Nowhere but here. This is my home, and Clara could come home any day and all. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't here when she came back home. No, I can't go anywhere. I have to stay here. Well, you could always help me. Would that make it go faster? Not really, but you'd be company. When I'm out on maintenance, I don't usually get to talk to people. And you're certainly an interesting girl. I don't mind helping you out. I don't know what else I would do anyway. The only time I was away from work was when I fell and fell off a scissor lift and broke my leg a few years ago. But if you'd rather do this, that's fine too. We have a friend. Come evening, and Courier and I headed back upstairs. We'd been down there so long, it was almost always. Oh, we've been down there so long that it was already dark out. I apologized that I didn't have any food to offer them, but they said they were fine. I also offered a place to sleep for the night, but they said that they booked a hotel room. They probably thought a notion of staying at my house was a bit strange. I didn't think of it as strange at all. I was just trying to be hospitable. I didn't really have a guest room anyway. I just had my room and Clara's. And her room is, well, I don't think I could let anyone stay in there. I wouldn't want to make Courier sleep on the floor, so I guess it was for the best. They said they would be back tomorrow morning to start work properly. I wonder what sort of changes that bring to the place. Change is something I'm not used to. I've lived here for so long that I've gotten used to everything being the same. And after Clara left, I made it a point to keep everything the same. That way, things won't be strange when she comes back. I went to bed early that night. I was tired from all the going on of the day. I'm really not used to having guests over. I mostly keep to myself. Her social battery must be just run out. But without any phone calls to make, I guess I just have to socialize. It's not so bad. Courier is nice. They're a bit strange, but I guess I'm a bit strange too. It seems to work out somehow. Without thinking too hard about anything, I let myself drift off to sleep. I dreamt about the ocean. The waves here were crashing against the shore. The wind was blowing through my hair. I was standing on the beach looking out to the horizon. The sky was all gray. It looked like it was about to rain. I was barefoot, and my feet were sinking into the sand. The waves were rolling against my legs, but I couldn't feel any sensation of cold. Courier was there too, standing distantly on the shoals. Or was it Clara? I couldn't tell. I tried to call out to them, but they didn't seem to hear me, and they were just staring out at the ocean. I tried to catch a glimpse of their face, but it kept changing. Help, they said. Help me. I didn't know what was wrong. Is a little rain really that bad? What a stupid scene. I've never been to the ocean. Okay, that gave me a chuckle. How could you think the ocean's a stupid scene? Just commenting on her own dreams. I guess the absurdity of it would not be, too. How do you say? It would not be too odd for her to comment on that, I guess, but it's just weird that she's so cognizant of her own dreams. I guess. I don't know. And the first the first scene of this game is completely disconnected from, so far at the very least, from the rest of the game so far. Like, what the hell was that whole thing about being an idol and this and that and the feds? Like, I have no no inkling of what that was all about. It made me very confused. I guess we'll continue and maybe something will pop up later down the line. I'd been up since early in the morning, and I'd already gotten dressed. Today I won't be caught off guard. A good second impression is just as important as the first. That means that you have consistency, whether it Whether that is good or bad consistency, well, that's in the eye of the beholder. I take pride in mine regardless. I stand by the entrance, waiting for their truck to roll up at the driveway. I peek out the window every once in a while, but there's no sign of them yet. They never actually told me when they'd be here, beyond the vague early morning. Couriers seems like they'd be punctual though. They take their job more seriously than I think I ever could. I guess that's one difference between us. One of many. It doesn't take long until I start spinning up theories about what I would do if they didn't come. I'm not sure that what I would do without the phone system to occupy my time. I'd probably just end up reading a book or something. I have a lot of them. I've read most of them already. But what would I do when I finish all my books? Eventually, I'd run out of things to do. Maybe I'd pick up gardening. The yard's really not good for it, though. All overgrown and full of weeds. I actually don't know anything about gardening. Maybe there's a book on it. Not that I'd own one. I take a deep breath. I realized I was starting to get a bit worked up. I don't think it would make a lot of sense for a courier to not show up. Alkaline's a business, after all. The droning of a distant truck engine erases my worries. That's definitely them. That was fast. Uh, good morning. Good morning, Anna. Was the drive okay? Uh, yeah, it was fine. I drive a lot, especially unfamiliar places. Though, this is the first time I've been to this area. It's kind of out of the way, isn't it? Yeah, it's quiet. Phone exchanges are usually pretty busy places, and I'm surprised that this one isn't. Oh, is that bad? I'm not sure. I've never been to one that wasn't. You seem to be doing well enough for nobody to complain. I'll take that as a compliment. I don't think I want. I don't think I would want it to be any different. I'm sympathetic, and I'll try to make sure that it stays that way. That it stays the way it is. Courier looks around the room. That leads me on to. Courier rolls out a big sheet of paper on the table. It seems to be a copy of the one from yesterday, but with some additions. I've drafted up an itinerary for the repairs. I'll go over it with you. Before we start, would you like some coffee? Oh, sure. You seem like the type. What's that supposed to mean? It's a good thing. They're getting friendly. I disappear into the kitchen to get the pot of coffee I had prepared in the anticipation of this event. I pour up two cute little porcelain cups and bring them back to the table. When I got back, Carrie is sitting on the floor, looking over the blueprint on the table. I'm glad they're already feeling at home here. I place the cups down and take a seat next to them. Here you go. Courier takes the cup and takes a sip almost immediately. They make a funny face. I guess it's not really good. Sorry, it's ration coffee. It's fine. Well, coffee isn't. I guess that's true. I take a sip of my own coffee. I make no expression. This bitter taste has become nothing but ordinary to me. The courier, they said they were going to go over the itinerary with me, but they seem to be taking their time mulling over it. I don't mind. I'm not in a hurry. I guess I'm the one who suggested this detour anyway. Oh, is my internet acting up? Nope, seems to be good. Sorry about that. Just saw it spike down on Twitch and got a bit spooked. So, timeline. It's a timeline now. I would start with the most important thing first, the switches, but those are on special order. So I'll start with what I can do right now. The wiring I could do today. It's a bit of a mess from what I've seen, but I can get it done. I just knock quietly. Or quickly, or something like that. I did not read that correctly. I haven't seen the terminus yet. I wanted to get a look at it yesterday, but I didn't have time. Terminus. Is that the big box outside? Yeah, that's the one. I'm surprised you know what it is. I guessed. We can take a look at it in a bit. And then there's the AW1054 and the TW44. They're big units, but they're not too complicated to wire up. They're already assembled too, so we should be able to get them up and running pretty quickly. We'll leave that for another day. We have to wait for them to be delivered anyway. And that about covers it. It's a lot of work. Indeed, so let's get going. Oh, but first, Anna, would you mind helping me bring some stuff in? Okay, sure thing. Why does she look so tired? So like, oh my god. I dropped the last bag of materials onto the floor, almost falling over. I don't think I was cut out for this kind of job. Courier carries in a box and spots me hunched over and sweating. Careful not to draw your back out. Courier smiles teasingly. They set the box down near the door to the basement. I decide to take a much-needed break and lay down next to the coffee table. Courier sits down next to me. They eye over some blueprints to the building. Station 45 East. Huh. They look at the wiring coming from the switchboards, running along the ceiling and through the walls. Scratching their head, they stand up to study the area. I watched them trace the wires from one side of the room to the other, noticing the wire going to my bedroom. Not sure if you'd know anything, but I'm a little confused here about something. I sit up and face them. Would you happen to know why they routed the wires in this way? They point at the wires going from the switchboard to my bedroom and more wires going from one part of the building to the other. Not really. Figures. Courier strokes their shin. I need to say that word better. Courier. Courier strokes their shin, looking away, as if for an idea. They tuck some of their hair behind their ear and open the door to my bedroom. I hear some rattling from behind the walls as Courier starts to pull on some of the cords. The first time anyone else has been in my room. Since there was a little bit of a storm last night, their boots are probably really muddy. The thought of having to clean up all the mud that's probably been caked all around my room. Poor Anna. I make my way into the room. Courier already has their hands full of wires. Excuse me. Courier stops to listen. Miss Courier? They look a little caught off guard. It's Miss Courier. Miss Courier, can I ask you to please take your boots off before going into my bedroom? And this is your... Courier turns around and notices the bed and dresser. Her mouth opens in surprise. Of course. I've never been to an exchange that someone lives in. You'll have to forgive me. It's okay. Courier promptly takes off her boots and leaves them by the door. And I'm a little embarrassed that I had to ask her to do that, and I don't want to seem uppity or anything. I'm just a little particular about my room. If my room is messy, I feel like my mind is messy too. Stuff needs to be in the right place. I watch as Courier continues to strip the wires from the walls. A little paint ships dance to the floor as the guts are spilled. I just sit in my bed watching Courier work, and I don't think this is something I can help with. This room has always been such a gentle and clean place, and now it feels defiled. I know it's just a room. I guess technically it's not even my room. It's alkaline property. All that's really on my mind right now is I have to clean up all this stuff. Maybe paint over the walls again. I can't imagine sleeping in here with all the exposed wiring. Hey, Courier? Is this necessary? What, the wiring? I've just been thinking. Is it really something that needs to be done? Well, I wouldn't be doing my job otherwise, right? I mean, I guess, but... I don't know. Couldn't you just say you did it? I could, but that'd be lying. I mean, I don't think anyone would know the difference. I would. I mean, I guess, but no, you're right. If I were in Courier's position, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd want to know what I did. I want to know that I did the job right. Courier and I sat down at the table, and I poured us some tea. A break seemed to be in order. I don't know if tea is her thing, but I figured I would change it up a bit. Give Courier a sample of the Anna experience. We sip in silence for a little while. Courier looks out the window, enjoying the view. Her usual job site probably isn't surrounded by this much nature. She sets her teacup down and looks down at some of her notes. These are some cute cups. I like the little flowers on them. Right? They're my sister's set. I think she got them from our mother. Courier picks up her cup and looks at it. You said your sister was the one who originally worked here. If she's not here, where is she? Clara volunteered. She's a medic now, I think. We both take another sip. Cicadas sing their usual song outside. And so she's trusting you with the switchboard from now, I assume? Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I always wanted to be like her. I guess in a way, that did end up happening. I'm just happy I'm able to help, keeping this place running. She'll be back soon, she told me in her last letter. I'm sure she will be. The courier takes a sip of her tea. I wonder what she's thinking about. You know, I never met anyone from Alkaline before. Is it fun? Is it a fun place to work? Fun? It has its fair share of enjoyable moments, I'd say. Maybe not the fun you're thinking of, though. It's fun to see the look on someone's face after I fix a problem of theirs, but sometimes the days are just much too long. Courier gives a distant stare and downs the rest of her tea. I do the same, trying to mimic her nonchalant ways. For a while, we just sit there in silence. The light streaming in from the window is filtered through the leaves of the trees outside. It's a nice day. The silence is broken by Courier clearing her throat. I look at her. Anna, are you close to your mother? I'm a little taken aback by the sudden question. Huh? Did the documentation in the office say something about her? No, that's not what I'm asking. You talk about your sister a lot, but your mother, you didn't even mention her. Oh. I don't think she's someone I think about very often. Probably because she's a bitch. I'm joking, okay? But it's true. From what little we know of her, she doesn't seem nice. Or at least, she's a bit uppity. Perhaps understandably so, but it does not put off a good, we don't have a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Now I'm forgetting words again. You know what I mean. What, you think I'm too young to be here on my own? Don't misunderstand. You're doing a great job. Courier looks away for a moment. Just, chalk it up to the innate curiosity of an engineer. Well, alright. Honestly speaking, I don't know where she is. It was a long time ago. Courier nods understandingly, and takes another sip of the tea. I think she's alive, but I don't know where she is. Me and Clara, we ran away from home when we were young. We both take another sip of tea. I'm not sure what to say. It doesn't mean a lot to me anymore. It's been this way for as long as I can remember. I don't know if I'd even recognize her if I saw her. It's hard to say that it's something I mourn, let alone something I think about with any regularity. I wonder what made Courier ask about her. I ran out of my own tea. Now that we talk about that, something has happened to my eyesight. Well, that was weird. The day's work concludes. Courier replaced all of the wiring on the first floor. I helped her with the last few rooms because I couldn't stand just sitting around while someone else was working away in my home. I wasn't much help, but I think she appreciated the company. She's a lot more talkative than I thought she would be. I guess she's just a little slow to warm up. To be fair, I'm not much better. Courier says her goodbyes, then took off for the night. My day isn't over yet, though. I decided it's probably good to head to the post office. I am actually gonna take a little break before we continue. Gotta use the restroom and all that. I'll be right back. Here I am. return from my long little journey. Now let's continue after I take some water to drink. Damn, you can hear every gulp. If that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. It is not my intention to make people uncomfortable with my slurping. Okay. Let me put this mouse over to the side. Here we go. I ask, as I come up to the desk, Millard actually seems to be manning her post for once. She is hunched over, looking more bored than usual. She doesn't even notice me until I'm right in front of her. I knock on the desk and her eyes widen. She looks up at me and smiles wide like she's reunited with a long-lost friend. Anna! And did you see that fucked up dog? What? Did you see that fucked up looking dog outside? Come again? So there was this big hunk and his dog was like cylindrical. I look around, see no obvious sign of a fucked up dog. You should have been there for it, man. They tried to shove that dog up, but it just would not stop barking. It ate a letter. None of yours though. Not to be worried, Miss Anna. Big Sis Millard's got all sorts of mail. Maillard. I said Millard. I guess Millard is all right. It's kind of similar. Big Sis Maillard's got all of your mail. She's acting really strange today. Without any further words from her... Without any further words from either of us, she immediately finds my mail bin and plucks through the various envelopes of my mail. She sets my mail down on the counter. I guess she remembered my address this time. She pushes her index fingers in together. Man, I cannot read. What the hell's going on? She pushes her index fingers together in a wavy motion as she waits for me to take the mail. Okay, now I can read. Not wanting to rouse any further trouble, I take the letter and file through them. Ads, flyers, utility bill, news. Join us in the great effort. Nothing interesting, nothing new. I open up my purse and carefully put them in there. Of course, they go into the trash once I'm not in view of a postal worker. I just don't want her to take it personally. I push today's letter towards Millard, as usual. She doesn't immediately pick it up. Anyway, Anna, how come you're always sending these letters? They're always addressed to the same name. You know, we have different products too. Maybe try a postcard next time? Maillard cracks a smile. Her smile's a little... I don't know. She needs to work on it a little bit. Try something different. Maillard picks up my envelope and makes a stance, like she's holding a deadly throwing weapon. Thanks, miss. I will keep that in mind. She tosses the letter into the outgoing mail sack. It gracefully lands in it, to my great surprise. I do wish she would be a bit more careful with my letters. I don't want them to get lost. Not that they're in the bag, though. I can't do anything about it. I leave it to the system to see that my letter gets to its destination. Can I trust the system? I don't know. Clara's not gotten back to me yet. Say, Maillard. Yeah? What happens to the letters that don't get delivered? She thinks for a moment. They get returned to the sender. What if it's a letter that's been sent to the right address but the recipient isn't there to get it? The letter would be left in the mailbox until someone picks it up. What about a military letter? You'd have to ask the military about that. Oh, right. Huh? What were we talking about? Nothing. I'll see you later. I've had enough of this. I turn around and take my leave. Outside, I take a deep breath. No strange dogs in sight. Something to be thankful for. I don't like animals very much. I sit down on my bike without feeling any immediate reason to leave. There's nothing waiting for me at home anyway. At times like this, I prefer to let my mind drift away. Distractions ease your worries. They make you forget for a little while. It's become my habit to spend some time here, just sitting outside. I don't know why. I just like it here. Maybe there's something alluring about the exterior of this building. It's been here longer than the Great Effort. It's been here longer than the military. It's been here longer than I have. It's a place that's always been there for me, just like home. I find that comforting. A place can be a home, even if it's not somewhere you live. Being in a place that I spend time in with Clara makes me feel like she's still with me here. I wonder if she feels the same way. I can't imagine she's too much to hold on to out there. She has too much to hold on to out there. Clara, hold on a little longer. Someday this will all just feel like a dream. Things will go back to how they used to be. I'm sure of it. My thinking is interrupted by a grumble in my stomach. I guess I haven't had anything to eat yet. I was swept up in the action of the day and forgot to take care of myself. I guess at home there's one thing waiting for me. A warm meal. I turned the key and start the engine. I'm going home. Clara and I took the long drive to the city. I don't know what it is what we came here I don't know what it is we came here to get, but I'm sure it's important. It's crowded, a sea of people. The bustle of the city is something I could never get used to. It tugs me along as we weave through the aisles of the department store, the clothing section. The racks of clothes seem much taller than normal. I can only see the ground and a labyrinth of posts around me. Clara pulls me along as we squeeze through the tall racks. Halfway through, I lose her hand. I make it through, then look around. She's nowhere in sight. Clara? Clara? I stay put, though I just feel frozen in place, afraid that if I move, we'll just lose each other. Hmm. This morning, Courier helped herself inside the house. I was just in my morning gown, so I ran off, embarrassed, to get changed. I had told her that I'd leave the door unlocked for her, but I ultimately forgot that the whole interaction about that whole interaction come morning. We found ourselves sat down on the floor, on the cushions in the main room, and we enjoyed our now regular morning routine, drinking coffee in silence. Something felt unusual, or out of character about it. Maybe it was that she was starting to feel more comfortable here. Maybe it's that I was getting comfortable with her presence in my home. It's not something I should get used to. Nothing is permanent, especially this. I pop open a can of tuna. It would go good on a sandwich with some lettuce and tomato. Maybe even some cream mixed in with the tuna. A girl can dream. It's been a while since stuff like that was easily accessible. Courier seemed to eat whatever I put in front of her happily. I find it admirable that she's not picky. I look at her as she picks up bits of tuna with her fork. I have a feeling that today is going to be a good day, so I don't want to sully it with any idea that could get better. I was content with just watching her eat. I don't actually feel hungry at all. In fact, I was more full than I'd ever been in a long time. Than I felt in a long time. I was full of her company. It's dawning on me that maybe I'm already getting too used to it. Courier has built a home in an emptiness I didn't know I had. And in that half-filled emptiness, something dormant has been disturbed. I'm not sure if I like it. I'm unsure if I want to go... Oh, if I want it to go away. Maybe it's okay for things to just be what they are. It's a little too poetic to really make sense of it. It's a little too poetic to really make sense of. I push it away. Courier finished eating, placing the tuna down, washing it down with a big swig of coffee. I found the act quite reprehensible, but it's not my taste buds. I guess she's eager to get to work. I have to go pick up a package today. It'll be a few hours. The post office isn't so far away. I wonder why it would take so long. A few hours? Ah, it's at the depot, at base 8. Special order. Base 8? You mean the military base? That's on the other side of town. Why would you make the trip here? Courier looks at me, a bit surprised at my perception. Ah, so... Two things. First, I need some lifting help. Those boxes are a pain in the ass. I interjected. I don't know if I'd be much help. I point to my skinny arms. Ah, don't worry. I'll be what did she say? Hold on, let me look at the history. Don't worry. Oh, I don't mind. But if I'm, no, don't worry. You'll be plenty. And then Anna says, I don't mind. But if it's a base, can't the soldiers help you? It's weird that the screen is like a TV. So what's going on with that? Courier huffs. Have you ever met a soldier? I recalled those military brats from the other day. I'm starting to see the angle. More trouble than it's worth, maybe. Busy. More trouble than it's worth, maybe. Right. So, are you up for it? I nod. Okay. Secondly, I want you to become an official employee of Alkaline. You've already been living under the guise of your own sister all this time, but obviously the person on the ID isn't you. But what if it was? If I work my magic, I'll make sure that you get a proper ID and everything. Then there will be no problems. I blink at Courier, not sure what to say. She can do that? She would do that for me? Why? Why would you go out of your way to help me? I don't know. Why should I replace Clara? My sister will come back one day and then everything will be okay. Courier nods, closing her eyes, the way she does when she needs to think about something really hard. What if your sister doesn't come back? Something felt painful about how she phrased it. Please don't say things like that. I know she'll come back. I know she will. I just know it. Clara will come back. Once this all blows over, she'll come back. Courier takes a sip of her coffee, seemingly a bigger swig than usual, to give herself time to think, perhaps. Okay, but if she doesn't, I want you to have something to fall back on. Courier is really persistent on this. I know she's just trying to be kind. It's just in case. I know it's just in case. I know she'll come back. I feel unable to say anything useful as a response. You don't have to decide now, but please make your decision by the time we get there. Okay. I tried to shake the resentment that I had been building up. It's a bad habit. When would you be ready to leave? I just need to get changed. Yeah, I'll wait outside. Courier lifts herself up, taking a plate with the French press and our cups with her. She beat me to it. You don't have to do that. She stops, smiling as she turns around. Let me at least do this. Fine. I let my agency slip away. That's not what I wanted to pull up. This is what I wanted to pull up. Yes, checking. I lift my helmet out of the box on the back of the bike and put it on. What am I doing? This, okay. The goggles hang at my neck. Courier, who had seemed to be walking towards her truck, turns back to me. You're gonna ride that thing here? I half expected her to berate me for leaving the keys in the ignition. Of course, she's not my sister. I was going to... It'll be faster if you ride with me. Oh, this thing is pretty fast. My sister had it tuned up. I'm sure it is, but it'll be trouble if you ride it into the base. They'll want to see your documentation and all that. Good point. Not wanting to be an inconvenience, I put the helmet back in the box and walk with her to the truck. I tried for the passenger door. It took more resistance than I expected, so I floundered my first try. I guess it's been a while since I've been in a car. I climb in it and sit down. The seat is a bit low, but comfortable. I can't completely see over the dashboard. Courier gets in on the other side and looks to me. Safety first, she says, making a motion of a seatbelt being dragged across her chest. I'm not used to being in an automobile. I actually can't remember the last time I was in one. My sister never had one. My family never did either. Before all of this, we'd just walk to get around. This is a place that relies a bit more on these things, though. I buckle up. Courier does the same. The turn of the ignition clicks on the radio. It's playing a news broadcast. Courier turns it off. I found the action agreeable. The sound of the engine fills the cabin. Courier pushes the gas pedal and the engine roars at us. We roll off. I can feel the weight of the truck shift as we accelerate forward. It's familiar, but comfortable in a way I'm not used to. On my bike, I'm just used to dealing with potholes, bumps, and the truck just glides over them. It's a lot faster, too. It leaves me with a strange feeling. I won't cite you for turning up your company bike. Don't worry. I won't cite you for tuning up your company bike. Don't worry. It's against the rules. It's been that way as long as I've been riding it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the way it should be. And that's what my sister's doing. And besides, I'm not an employee, right? Courier smiles, keeping her something. Why did I click without reading it? Keeping her eyes on the road. For legal reasons, you're Clara Lapine today. Make sure you remember that. I'll try, but I'm not used to lying. I doubt you'll actually have to, but just in case. I nod to signal my understanding, and the conversation drops off. We drive in silence for the rest of the way. We get stopped at the gates of the base. A guard steps out from their booth and walks up to the driver's side of the window. Courier hands over a piece of paper to him, and the guard looks it over. A few moments, he gives an affirmative nod and sends us on our way. The guard and the courier seem to have done this completely non-verbally. I guess for some reason she's allowed here. They didn't even ask for Clara's ID. Actually, I don't think the guard even noticed that I was there in the first place. I drive by several large buildings. They're all painted the same color and they all look similar. I guess the Gamut Defense Forces are big on beige. We drive a bit further in and drop at a building. There's military trucks parked outside and some regular ones. A few people are milling around. I guess this is the depot. Courier parks the truck and turns the engine off. What are we picking up anyway? It's nothing special. We're replacing some of the exchange units in the basement. Those boxes you were poking around in the other day? Courier nods. What's wrong with them? Well, there are some incremental improvements, but I think more than anything else, it's that they're old. What do you mean? The model's out of fabrication. Hard to find parts for them, so it's easier to just replace them when they give out. I nod silently. I guess that makes sense. My sister fixed a tear in my dress once. There's a little patch over it now, but I guess it's not the same for a machine. The units are special order, so the office won't deliver them. That's why we're here to pick them up. Alkaline must work pretty close with the military these days, huh? It's a good business partnership. The amount of money the military spends on long-distance lines is unfathomable. I guess the calls I've heard recently confirms that. That business relationship allows me to pull some strings too, so it's a win-win. Anyways, let's get to work. I nod, and I follow her out. I almost immediately, I feel eyes on me from the soldiers nearby. I guess they're not used to seeing civilians here. I guess I'm not used to seeing them here either. It feels like this whole area appeared out of nowhere. There was just a train station here before, and now a whole base has sprung up around it. We'll just have to make friends. The soldiers are in standard issued gray uniform, but not armed. Some of them are smoking cigarettes and some are talking to each other. Some are just staring at me, and it's weird. It makes me want to shout something, but I'm being Clara today. I stay close to Courier, who seems unfazed by the attention. She walks with purpose inside the building, and I follow. Inside, there's a large room. It goes so deep that it's hard for me to make sense of it. There's a conglomeration of boxes and crates on tall shelves, rows upon rows of them. Some boxes are wrapped up in tarp and some are open, maybe pending an inspection. And there's a crew of people driving forklifts around and a few people on footing with clipboards and the like. They're all wearing the same gray uniform. It's elaborate. I've never seen anything quite like it. In front of the shelves is an area dedicated to reception, a huge empty foyer. Concrete. Empty, save for a secretary sitting at a mahogany desk in the middle of the room. She's notably more well-dressed than everyone else, wearing a skirt and blouse, and with her hair done up in a bun. She's wearing glasses, too. The spitting image of a secretary, really. She's clanking away at some sort of machine, unfamiliar to me. A typewriter, I think. She's focused on her work. Courier walks up to the desk and she stops typing. The secretary looks up at Courier and then to me, giving me some sort of indiscriminable look. I do my signature move. Avoid eye contact. I have a manifest for a shipment. The secretary, saying nothing, makes a hand motion like, gimme. Courier extends a paper in response, and the secretary takes it quickly, pushing up her glasses to review it. Alkaline, huh? Her voice is aged and raspy. Sounds like how cigarettes smell. Notably uncharacteristic, considering her young looks. The woman clacks away at the typewriter for a while, and we stand there restlessly. Who's the missus? She says without looking up from the machine. I immediately feel my face flush. I hope we don't get in trouble for this. She is my assistant, first day on the job. I guess you could call that a technically correct statement. Bad time to start, don't you think? I can look after her. I want to hear it from her. The woman stops typing, looking straight at me. She seems to take some sort of attitude towards me. I hide behind the Courier. Oi, you. Courier gives me a shove away from her. Mean. You cut out for this kind of work? Is everybody in the military base like this? If you were, I would quit. If I were you, I would quit. Move far south. Flee down to the coast and live a quiet life. And for the love of God, don't have kids. What? I look at the Courier for escape. Courier looks to me sternly. I guess she wants me to come up with a convincing lie. Move far down south? Flee down to the coast? She's with the military, right? Isn't she here to protect our country? Why would she tell me to run away? I've been running away for so long. I don't want to run away anymore. I just want to spend more time like this. I don't want to run away. This is my home. I don't have anywhere else to be. I say what I know to be true. I don't know what else to say. The secretary looks at me, and then back to the Courier. I can't tell what she's thinking. She sighs, seeming somewhat defeated. She presses a button on the typewriter, and it makes a loud ding. A small parchment comes out of the top of the machine. She tears it off and hands it to Courier. I'll have my guys on it. You two can wait in the break room. 30 minutes tops. I guess we got let off easy. The office lady whisks her finger towards two sad-looking folding chairs not far away from where her desk is. I guess that's the break room. Courier says nothing and turns around. She seems to not be headed for the break room. I walk out of the building, following a dirt road on the side of the building, and while I'm not sure of where we're going, I follow her anyway. I look at Courier, who seems to be deep in thought. She's not looking at me, but she's not looking at anything else either. I've never seen her make a face like that before. She's in there just thinking. Let her think. Give her some thinking time. Don't know what she's thinking about, but she is thinking. Did you make up your mind yet, Anna? What? About the job. Will you take it? I think I know what to do now. I guess I'll just keep doing as I have. I'll continue to work for Alkaline, officially or not. I want to be there when Clara comes home. Yeah, I figured. You're like that. Like what? You persist, Anna, even when you have no right to. And that's why you'll do this. That's why you're walking in this direction. And that's why you haven't turned around yet. She seems to act like she's known me for a long time. You'll do this, and you'll do it well. What do you really know about me, Courier? You're just here to do your job. I'm here to do mine. Is it any more complicated than that? We continue walking in silence, the density of soldiers around us increasing as we go. It gets noisy and cramped. I hear shouting and the sound of metal clanging against metal. Engines ripping. We're eventually swallowed up in a sea of people and she takes my hand. I can't see above anyone. It's just gray uniforms and boots. I should guess at this point we're somewhere in the middle of the base. Courier holds my hand tight and I hold hers back. I don't know where we're going, but I trust her direction. Suddenly, someone grabs Courier by the shoulder. And I can't see. I hear a voice, but I can't make out what it's saying. I hear Courier say something back, but I can't make that out either. I can feel her hand being pulled away from mine. I try to hold on, but I can't. I'm alone in the crowd. I can't see anything. I can't hear anything. I can't feel anything. I feel panic rising in my chest. I do the only thing I can think of. I try and push away from the crowd, through the crowd, and in the direction that Courier disappeared to. For some reason, I worry that I look silly doing this. Eventually, the crowd clears out, and I find myself in a plaza surrounded by a sea of tents. There's a few people around, but they all seem to be going about their own business, not paying me any mind. I see Courier standing some ways away with someone. They seem to be wearing a similar uniform to her. That guy is making a lot of hand motions. I can't tell what he's saying, but it definitely looks like trouble. Courier looks at me, as if trying to signal something. I don't know what she's trying to say. I move closer, and I start being able to make out the conversation. What's the situation? One of the transformers blew out, and we need to get it fixed ASAP. We're running out of backup, but it's not going to last long. We're running on backup, but it's not going to last long. We need to bridge the gap until a new one can be installed, but none of our guys know how to do it. I'm really happy you happened to be here. Your timing is impeccable as always. The Superior grabs Courier by the shoulder and pulls her with him. I start to follow the two, but the guy stops me. He seems a little shocked. Don't trouble yourself, General. It's like, don't trouble yourself, General. We'll have this fixed in no time. I stop in my tracks. General? What is he talking about? Rest assured, sir. No need for concern. It's a quick fix. Courier speaks to me in a robotic tone, as if she's never met me before. I guess she wants me to play along. I'll just wait here, then. The Superior seems confused with my response, but doesn't seem to have time to question it. Is it because her uniform is green? You're telling me they think she's a general because her uniform is green? You can't be serious. She doesn't even have a rank on her fucking thing. That's kind of funny, though. He turns around and walks off with Courier. I watch them disappear into a building. I'm left alone in the plaza with nothing to do but wait. Alone. I look around. At the center of the plaza is a big statue, which seems to have been constructed somewhat haphazardly. It's a monument to what I presume to be a war hero. I don't know who, though. History was never something I was ever very interested in. I sit down on the base of the statue, twiddling my thumbs. A few minutes pass and I wobble side to side anxiously. I hope Courier comes back to save me soon. A group of soldiers emerge down the path and I hide my body behind the statue. I hear them talking and I peek around the statue to see what they're doing. They're all wearing standard issue uniform, but they're armed. They're carrying rifles and they're all wearing helmets. Is this some sort of exercise? I watch them walk past me and I sigh relief. I guess I'm safe. I really don't want to be seen by anyone else. I should probably try and find a better hiding spot. I get up and I start walking off in the direction that seems the least precarious, one that still has a good view of the building that Courier walked into. In all honesty, it's more of a random direction. I walk for a few minutes. I learn a couple of things. One, a military base is a terrible place to hide. There's no cover and there's people everywhere. Two, it's a big. I have no idea where I've ended up. I found myself in some sort of tent city. I sit down on a crate, trying to look aloof like those soldiers did on their break. I get kind of into it, and I start daydreaming about being a soldier. I imagine myself in a uniform, with a rifle and a helmet. I imagine myself being a hero and saving the day. The bubble pops when I hear a voice call out, "You!" A haze of my new life as a soldier is taken away, and in this place is a rifle pointed toward me. What are you doing here? There better than be a good reason. Those two. Cat got your tongue? You're acting super suspicious, you know that? Super duper suspicious. You aspire something? I can't think of a better explanation. They push up at me with their rifles a little more with each exchange, making me almost fall off the crate. They seem somewhat out of sync in their routine of questioning me. This is a terrible place to run into them. I was sent here. Both of the girls raised their eyebrows at this. I'm here with an Alkaline Corp service representative. She's, getting a part for me. I point towards Alkaline building in the distance. It's not really a lie. Huh. You with the phone company? She seems to take an accusatory tone. I am. The one girl stops pointing her gun at me, even going as far as to put it on her shoulder. I guess I'm not a threat. Well, I can see why they didn't choose you. What do they... The other laughs under her breath. I know that uniform. You're one of the Hello Girls. Even more naive than I thought. That's, good for you. You keep up the good work. Well, you can run off and keep doing whatever is sitting down and pushing buttons. We'll just be here, you know, keeping the country ours. I noticed something strange about one of them. Can I ask what happened to your helmet? I seem to have caught them off guard with that. That's none of your fucking business. We take turns wearing it. Don't tell her that. She grabs the other girl, the other's arm and starts tugging her in a direction. Come on, we're out of here. Screw this loser. They make their way towards the plaza, while occasionally giving me dirty glances over their shoulders. I feel like I've blown my cover a little, so I start walking off in the opposite direction. Suddenly, a group of tall men in green uniforms emerges from out of a building in front of me. They're all wearing a lot of medals and are speaking loudly to each other. One of the men steps up to me quickly. He calls out to me, speaking in a deep voice. So you're here. We've been looking all over for you. If I knew we were looking for a woman, I would have told the grunts to look a bit closer to the ground. He cracks a smirk at me. The rest of the group heartily laughs in a very unpleasant manner. I'm not sure if I should run or play along. Come on, we're about to begin. He grabs me by the shoulder, taking me along to the greater group. We passed by the twins, their mouths hanging open in pure shock. But that's not... Uh-oh. Oh no, they think she's an officer. These guys should know better. We disappear into the tent and everyone sits down at a table. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, so I just follow along and take a seat as well. Everyone opens up their briefcase and pulls out a bunch of papers and folders. On my left is a big burly guy. He lights a cigar and starts to read through a stack of papers. Water break. Excuse me. Alright. On my left is a big burly guy. He lights a cigar and starts to read through a stack of papers. They're all stamped with with red ink that says classified. The one on my right rolls out an array of Polaroids. I can't really tell for sure what I'm looking at. It looks like a bunch of flesh. Nothing looks right about it at all. I really am not supposed to be here. A man takes the stand, moving in front of the big whiteboard. He's wearing a fancy uniform and has a lot of medals on his chest. He opens his mouth. Alright, everyone, let's get started. General, it's good to have you here. I'm Colonel Harris of the 3rd Signals Intelligence Brigade. I apologize that we couldn't have this conversation over the phone, but something like this is too important to risk interception. We've had some engagements in the last few days that suggest they've managed to decode our comms. He's talking to me? What is he talking about? Why do they keep calling me General? Who do they think I am? It's not certain that any comms beyond some frontline combat units have been compromised, and it's quite unlikely our main command channels are at risk, but at the rate at which their efforts are progressing is a little concerning. As a result, we've decided all briefings containing information about Target Rapid Zero, which will be strictly in person for the time being. We appreciate you taking the time to fly out here. Did he say the enemy is tapping our phones? I feel more confused and uneasy with each passing moment. I don't think I should be here. I begin to worry that, well, what will happen when they find out who I really am. What should I say? Of course. Let's proceed. We've intercepted some enemy transmissions that seem to mention increased scouting focus towards the northern provinces. Jesus, I can't read. At present, we have reason to believe that target is, or at least has been, physically present in the region in the last few months. It's unknown whether the enemy's information is accurate, but we've aerially confirmed increased troop movements towards the sector as recently as 18 hours ago. It's not believed that they've committed such troop volume to a deception campaign, so they must be on to something. The colonel pauses and seems to expect me to say something. Maybe I look nervous as I feel inside. He narrows his eyes a little. My throat is bone dry. I can't speak. Even think. I'm not supposed to be here. They say in the news that spies get executed. But I'm not a spy. This is just a mistake. Surely they'll understand. Suddenly, we're interrupted by a shout just from outside, and I hear someone enter the tent behind me. Colonel. My apologies, but we need the general out here right now. Excuse me? This is a classified briefing. I'm sorry, but this is urgent. I require the general's attention for just a moment. Before anyone can say anything else, Courier escorts me out of the tent, moving with an urgency I've never seen from her. She zips towards the crowd, nearly dragging me behind her. We dive into the mess of soldiers, and again, I can do nothing but... let me reread this. We dive into the mess of soldiers, and I again can do nothing but hang on and trust that she knows where to go. Her grip on my hand is much tighter than before. Eventually, I see Courier's truck loaded up with what must be the parts that we had come for. We climb in without speaking, and she steers towards the exit. We arrive at the gate, where Courier silently hands the guard some sort of receipt. I sit as patiently as possible, trying to will myself out of existence. The guard walks back towards the bed of the truck and briefly looks at our cargo. After a moment, he hands the receipt back to the courier, letting us go with a nod. As we finally make it outside the base perimeter, I let out a slow, deep exhale. I hadn't realized I was holding my breath. Courier turns onto the road that runs out of the base, and we drive wordlessly towards town. There's a slight breeze today, and the plains shimmer in the glow of the afternoon sun. Normally, I love this sort of view, but today I can't bring myself to enjoy the scene. Oh, the internet's all fucked up. No! There we go, back to normal. Okay. Courier had been periodically glancing over the rear view mirror. She seems inordinately tense. I wonder if she's worried about being followed. After a few minutes, Courier finally breaks the silence. Anna, what did you do? I don't know why she took so long to ask me that. I'm caught completely off guard. I tried to remember what the meeting was about. The words had barely registered. It's, it's a mess. It all happened so fast. I didn't really understand. They said the enemy's tapping our phone lines, I think. And they mentioned something called Rapid Zero? Apparently it was too important to talk about on the phone. They went on for a while about scouting, and then you showed up. Courier's usually stoic expression has shifted to one of worry. Fuck. Do you know anything about that stuff? No. But I do know that you were absolutely not supposed to hear any of that. We could lose our jobs over this, or worse. Her voice has taken on a shaky tone. This is bad. Maybe really bad. Courier looks in the rear view mirror again. We have to stay low for a while. Courier rubs her temple with one hand, keeping the other on the steering wheel. Internet's getting wonky right now. I don't even know why. It just is, again. Quite unfortunate. How did you even end up there? After you left, I was just, I don't know, trying to stay out of the way, I guess. I ran into these military brats, and then those officers showed up out of nowhere. Before I knew what was happening, they took me into that tent. I think they mistook me for someone else. Maybe you look like someone who's in charge there. Your sister isn't some kind of Your sister isn't some kind of official or anything, right? I shake my head. My... My sister couldn't be in charge of anything like that. No way. Courier groans. I can't make sense of this. Courier looks behind her, at the loaded bed of the truck. I can't believe those soldiers actually helped us load this stuff up. Why is the internet acting up? Okay, things seem to be back to normal, kind of. Maybe? Not too sure. Alright, I'll continue now that the internet seems to be getting back in. Let me just place this right here so that I can see when it drops off like that again. I hope they got everything right. I'm not even sure if I can go back there. They might think I was working with you or something. Um, you are working with me though. Right, but not like that. If someone recognizes you as the girl that crashed their top secret meeting, and I was the one who pulled you out of it, I'm beginning to get the picture. You said you see girls from the military around town? Don't talk to them anymore. If they ask you anything, just say you don't know anything. I really don't I really don't think those goofballs would be able to get anything out of me, but I nod anyway. If they ask you about me, say you don't know me. If they ask about you, if they ask you about the meeting, say you don't know anything about it. You don't even know what a meeting is. Got it? You're just a dumb kid who doesn't know anything. She lets out a deep exhale, and the worry on her face melts a little. I'm sorry, Anna. This is all my fault. I wasn't thinking straight when I brought you along. I should have known that you'd... Courier trails off, and I can see her expression shift as if discarding the thought. For a few moments, we drive in silence. I didn't have time to look into that ID yet. Now I'm not sure if it's a good idea. That's our ace here. They don't know who you are. As far as they know, you're nameless and faceless. That's good. I don't... You don't even work for Alkaline. You don't even work for Alkaline. I guess that's true, right? It's like, you don't work for anybody, technically. Yes, we have to keep it that way. Maybe in a few days they'll just have forgotten about this? Courier smiles wryly. If they really didn't think you're a general, and you had run off and never returned, I don't know. Once they realize you weren't who they thought you were, I doubt they'd forget about it. They might be looking for you. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to scare you. Things will be fine. I'm sure of it. I want to believe that things will work out. Somehow, they always have up until now, but I can't shake the feeling that this time is different. The rest of the car ride passes quietly under the setting sun, but now the quiet is more tired instead of tense. The events of the day have taken their toll on us both. When we get home, it's nearly dark. I restlessly shuffle around in bed, trying but failing to get comfortable. Courier insisted on staying the night, worried that something might happen if she didn't. It's nice to have her company. Though now that the night's settled into silence, the anxiety about the day has begun to creep back in. I think about the weird things I heard. What could happen if the enemy is really tapping our phones? And what is Rapid Zero? Those pictures were all scary. I try to shake the bad thoughts away like they're insects. Maybe counting sheep would be more worthwhile. I envision sheep jumping over a barn fence, small and fluffy. 1, 2, 3. I'm in a cage. Something doesn't feel right about my skin. It stings like being stung by a million wasps at once. The room is bright. It's hard to keep my eyes open. It's tenderness throughout. A deep, gravelly voice. Skin like tree bark. A face like a dog. Of course, it can be corrected, but cooperation is critical. Needles are pushed to every little spot on my body. Somehow it doesn't hurt. It feels natural, like breathing. I ruminate on the sensation throughout my body. Then I notice my blood feels wrong. It's tingling, a sensation I've never felt before. I can't tell if it hurts or if it feels good. Oh, a new sensation like falling through a trap door. My body tensing up as it sinks. Rainbows cross my vision. Unexplainably terrifying. Types of things you couldn't possibly imagine on purpose. Impossible shapes. The only intelligible part is the terror that emanates from them. Phase 3. Just what the hell is going on? This can't be, like, real. Maybe it's part of the military experimentation? But, like, what would that have to do with the first section about her wanting to be an idol or whatever? Whoever that person is, because we don't know. I set the teacups down on the table. Courier looks up and smiles, appreciating the gesture. After what happened yesterday, I feel it's right to treat ourselves a little today. We arrived at the conclusion that it's best to keep doing our jobs as usual to avoid raising suspicion. If we went ghost for a few days, it would only make things worse. Playing it cool is the best way to go about this. I at least trust that Courier knows how to navigate the situation better than I do. I get up to search the cupboard for the jar of sugar. Sugar for your tea? Ah, you don't have to waste something so nice on me. It's no trouble at all. Thank you. We sit and enjoy our tea and oatmeal. It seems like a good night's rest has put us at ease after what happened yesterday. Courier here today for another day of maintenance. With that part that we picked up yesterday, she should be able to make a lot more progress. I try to think about now how I'm going to occupy my time. It's been a while since I haven't had to worry about work, and I don't think I should try to get in Courier's way if she doesn't need me today. Maybe this would be a good time to get back to those books Clara left me. Another day of arduous work for Courier. Though today it's all seemed to go smoothly and without incident. Courier pulls her truck door shut and starts the engine, the sound cutting through the crickets. After a few moments, the truck begins to rumble away into the night. I consider waving goodbye this time around, but by the time I decide, it's too late. Oh well. Alone in the dark quiet of the switchboard room, I shiver a little bit from the cold draft let in. Strange. I thought I closed the door. A footstep from behind me. Uh-oh. A blade at my neck. Time seems to stop in this moment. The shape is cold and foreign. You move, you're dead. Completely frozen in place, my arms stays firmly to my sides with my hands outward. I catch a whiff of sweat and blood, but no, it's not mine. I try to say something, anything, but nothing comes out. My hands begin to shake as my mind races to a million different conclusions. Got it? A voice I don't recognize, high and withdrawn. Yes. I finally manage a word. A pale hand in front of me tightens their grip, sending chills down my spine. This is not good for our girl. What did they tell you yesterday? What? In the tent, the barracks. What did the generals tell you? My breathing becomes shakier as my confusion grows. I don't. They just suddenly words lose all their meaning. Absent, worthless things. Stop fucking around. The left arm of the bladed girl wrenches on my shoulder, pulling it back, forcing me to find my balance. The flat of the blade dances along my skin through the struggle, sending shockwaves throughout my nerves. My eyes dart back and forth in panic, looking for any semblance of a meaning behind all this. I don't know! I don't know! You better give me something right now. What does she want from me? I've never done anything to hurt anyone else. My face begins to flood with warmth and pressure, tears making their way to surface. I don't deserve to die here. Please. Through my stammering and sobbing, my voice just barely makes it through. There's a pause from the bladed girl. Rank and position. What? I gasp for air. I feel almost as if I've just narrowly avoided drowning. Silence, with only the sounds of tears tapping the floor. I noticed the gray uniform of the girl. Military. I'm not military. In one swift action, the girl moves the blade away from my neck and shoves me to the floor. After wiping my face in my sleeve, I take a look up at her. Oof, she does not look alright. It's the quiet girl from the patrol I ran into the other day. She's bloodied from head to toe, her uniform completely tattered. She sheathes her knife with a look of scorn on her face, and the look slowly turns to one of surprise, then to slight concern. She looks around, as if to see if anyone was watching, but of course I live alone. I cough up some of the tears I choked down, while cursing myself for not locking my door. Think about your next words wisely. Are you or are you not with the Gamut military? No, I'm just a telephone operator for Alkaline. Her eyes widen. If that's true, then why were you in that tent yesterday? I don't know. They dragged me over there. She looked puzzled. I think they thought I was someone else. What did they tell you? I can't remember. It was a lot. Letters and numbers and names. She lowers her head and scratches her neck. I have a feeling this isn't at all what she's planned for. Fuck. I gather myself and stand back up. Her presence seems to lessen now that I'm at eye level with her. While I feel I should be more scared in this moment, I feel surprisingly intact. On the other hand, she looks entirely lost. Hopefully this is all just a misunderstanding. She paces around the room for a minute and then looks down at her hands. They're covered in dried blood, someone else's, I assume. A whole mix of emotions seems to be running through her mind. I can see her thoughts racing as she paces around. Looking up and down at the room, at the switchboards, at me. I get a good look at her face. Her long blue hair is covering one of her eyes, which seems to be dripping with blood. Can you tell me what's going on? She stops her pacing and looks at me. I feel like I ticked her off. She opens her mouth as if trying to muster up some words to throw at me, but then says nothing. Her fists clench and then unclench in retreat. I'm dead. I'm a dead man. They're going to find me and they're going to kill me. You weren't sent here to get me? If you wanted to know what's going on. She grits her teeth and then kicks over a box of foodstuff, then sits on the floor. She covers her face in her hands and groans some swear words. I step closer to her. Are you okay? You look pretty hurt. You're bleeding a lot. The girl stops. She touches her eye and looks down at the blood on her hands. Before I could say anything else, she suddenly gets to her feet and runs out the door. Oh no. I guess the true spy that was there all along, maybe a scout or something, was, hoping that we were somebody important, and then turns out we're not, because obviously we're not. And she had to kill somebody to get to us, which is not good. That's only going to heighten up the military's fucking anxieties even further. Hopefully they don't find out that she came to where Anna is. That would be very bad for her. It wasn't easy to sleep after what happened. I get a chill thinking about the look I saw in that girl's face. I can only imagine what she went through for her to do what she did to me. I feel I should be angrier at her for it, but the feeling just doesn't come. If anything, I feel more helpless. Again. I wonder what Clara would have done. Either way, she's gone now. She only left droplets of blood on the floor. If they weren't there, I might have doubted the whole thing had happened in the first place. That girl, she seemed haunted by something. I'm just hoping that's the last I see of her. I close my eyes, thinking about what I should even do next. Would the police help? I've never had to call the police before. Once the lines open, I'll try to see if they'll help. I roll over, lethargic. I yawn and a stretch. I'm not sure what time it is, but it's somehow still dark outside. Give me a moment. I gotta do something real quick. Oh, didn't mean to do that with the game. I'll be right back. Real quick. Alright, let's continue reading this. I don't know how much longer this will be. I've got less than 20 minutes of stream time left. And I don't know if it autosaves. I imagine it might. I'm not sure. Let me see. Let me look around in the menu. There we go. Saved. Haven't had to do that. So, okay, now we know at least that I can save. I'm not sure what time it is, but it's somehow still dark outside. I don't know if I can get any more sleep. I get up and get dressed. It's too early to call the police. I guess I'll go for a walk. I start walking down the road towards the town. The sun is just starting to rise. It's strange. I can't feel the sun's warmth. Come to think of it, I can't feel anything else either. The post office. I wonder if Maylard is in yet. The door seems open. Nobody is here. Nobody, not even Maylard. I even make the point to check under the desk where she could normally be found slacking off. Maybe I can just... I reach over the counter and kick off with my feet. I squeeze my way through the till into the back room, and I land on my feet. Of course she's not here. It's too early. She's probably still home getting her beauty sleep. I don't know why I'm not doing the same. I don't even know why I'm here. And I don't know what I expected to find here. And I was just trying to go on a walk. Right now, I really just would like to talk to someone. Anyone would do. I just don't want to be alone right now. The phone. I don't know where there was a phone here. I probably shouldn't pick it up. I would get in trouble. But maybe it's important. Maybe Maylard is calling in sick. I don't know. This phone call might be for me. Why would you think it's for you? I pick up the receiver. Hello? Hello? If you're not going to say something, I'll just hang up. There's nothing in this universe that is scarier than change. That we must be desired, that we must be seen. It is something I never asked for. If I could have instead been alone all of this time, if I could have been born into a world where I was the only one, then there would then there wouldn't have been any problems. There wouldn't have been any pain. If I never looked on the TV, I would never have desired to be something great. But it's impossible. You can't go your life without meeting anyone. The fact that you were conceived in the first place was a feat of two people's connection, their dirty, disgusting love. By being in the proximity of others, they hold the power to use you. All your mother wanted was your happiness. All your father wanted was your success. All your friends wanted was your company. All your teachers wanted was your obedience. All your boss wanted was your labor. This is getting a little intense, to say the least. All your lover wanted was your affection. It's noble, isn't it? You're just a puppet to them, a doll that can be squeezed for their happiness. Most don't even realize that they're excising it on you, and you don't even realize it either. Are you okay with that? Everything moves by itself. Nobody is in control of anything. It is the true nature of this world. That's why everything must be destroyed. I never wanted to be changed, but yet I still felt the same curse as everyone else. The one where you wanted to be loved, to want to be desired, to allow yourself to change. I never took any wrong steps, but everything still ended up all wrong. Clearly, this was the only path I could have taken. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I still ended up hurting so many people. How do you account for this? Is wanting to be loved something that is not permitted for me? Is it a curse to want to be desired by people? Is it a curse that I have to play this wicked role, all for just a fleeting chance to be seen? Do the rules dictate that I must be a monster? I think you may have the wrong number. I don't know who you are, but I don't think I'm the person you're looking for. But if you really want my opinion, I think being loved isn't something so complicated. You don't understand me at all. Well, obviously, you're saying weird things. Freaky things, even. She's out here saying all kinds of... We don't even know if it's a she, but... out here saying all kinds of stuff. That's just like, excuse me, maybe save philosophy for someone who can handle it, I guess. Quite concerning, to say the least, that they just happened to call while we were there. Anyways, I think this is where I'll leave this off. I'll save the game here at this point. Game? Nope. Game? Where's the game? There's the game. Menu. And we will head to the fields. This game is so weird. Honestly. I have like little understanding of what's going on. Like, there's what's happening in like around Anna and in Anna's world, and then there's just the phone and the weird, just the weirdness surrounding the other person who I guess is part of the story since the beginning, I guess, technically. And why did they communicate with us specifically? That seems weird, and our dreams are kind of like interlinked. Or I guess Anna's dreams, technically, are some of her dreams are not hers, it seems. If that makes sense. Like, or maybe I'm misunderstanding that we're actually cutting back and forth sometimes between Anna and whoever this other person is. It's kind of sad too, considering the stuff they were talking about and how they see the world and how they believe it's other people trying to just squeeze joy out of you for their own sake. outside of that, man, there's a lot going on in the background that I have no clue about. There's also what happened recently with, long-haired, previously known as Quiet Girl. That gal, she's probably not going to be doing okay for the foreseeable future. She probably ended up, considering she hangs out around, the twins, I'm assuming they're dead. So we won't be seeing them anytime soon, and nor will they be ratting us out anytime soon. Which I guess is technically good for us, but, bad for them. Such an interesting game. It's like interesting in terms of story, because it's obviously about something, just in general, about something. And I don't want to take the cryptic talking as I mean, it might be super important to whoever that person is, but I don't know if the story as a whole is about what they've spoken of. It could be, but I'm not really sure. I mean, Anna's struggling with like change and the possibility of her sister not coming back, which, fair, but at the same time, that person is also talking about change and basically saying that don't let other people change you, which in some sense is correct, but like well, I'm gonna assume her, because most of the characters that are known and have a character like have an actual picture of them are like female, so I'm gonna assume it's a her. This character, she seems to be very, her idea of don't change for anybody else seems to come from like pain and mistrust and betrayal and stuff like that. And she knows about Anna, which is also weird. Like, how does she know about Anna? It's a little worrying that she knows about Anna. But, and Project Rabbit, whatever. And that's also concerning that the military project is called something Rabbit. Because, guess what? Our girl is a rabbit. I assume, anyways, that we're some kind of rabbit. And her sister is a rabbit, and I don't think it's her sister that may be experimented on. I don't even know if it's her sister who is the one that's like a general. Like, what was that all about, by the way? How did they mistake us for being a general just because we had a green uniform? Like, you would think they would be like, oh, she doesn't have medals or a rank, on her fucking uniform. And the fact that she also looks very young. So, what's that? I don't understand how any of that mistake happened, in all honesty. The only explanation is what Courier had mentioned, which was like, hey, is your sister like a part of the military? Like, is she somebody important that we should know about? Which maybe Clara did lie and is a part of like the officer corps and not a medic. I mean, it's not like Anna knows much either, because she said, when she was earlier mentioning to herself, I guess, who her sister was in the military, she said she was a medic or something, which means she doesn't know much about what her sister is doing either. And her sister has not been sending letters, so either she's busy or she's dead. Like, either way, it's not. A lot of weird stuff is just so happening to be occurring right now. And yeah, that's all I've managed to gain from, in terms of like what's going on and what's happening. All very interesting, but very worrying for our character at the same time. Anyways, I suppose that'll be all for today, ladies and gentlemen. I will see all of you next time. I thank you, VOD watchers, and I thank anybody who popped up during the stream and the lurkers and whatnot. I hope you all have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, and night, whenever and wherever you are. I will see you all later, or tomorrow. Bye-bye.